good, anime enthusiasts? Welcome to a very puzzling episode for Shiboyugi, at least on first watch through. It really took me a second look through, really going through my notes, and then afterwards leaning back in my chair and really thinking about what did I just hear? What did I just see? What does it all mean? And what other questions am I generating that relates to what's going on in the background, what's going on with the characters? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What's the theme? What's the issue? Why like really, like why? And it takes a bit of letting the anime run its course and then really honing in on the reasoning, I guess the hypothetical reasonings behind it. For instance, a lot more girls die in this episode, and we get to see, the full backstory of Mogi. Her story is now finished, it's complete, it's done. We're not gonna see Mogi again, and that relates and that completes the whole Nightjar story. And in the Nightjar story slash Nighthawk, the Nighthawk slash Nightjar dies in the end, or supposedly, quote unquote, dies in the end, because it doesn't know whether or not it's living or dead, as it's like becoming a star in the sky. Well, with Mogi, it leans into the fact that, okay, she's died, but she's done the very best that she could. And then we look at Ah-chan, whose name we don't get revealed. We get a little bit of her backstory, but what does she really do? Yes, she had some scenes in like the previous two episodes to where she actually helped out Moegi and she's been a bit more vocal, but she hasn't really, quote unquote, done anything more substantial out of that. And why are we getting her backstory? Well, the reason why we're getting her backstory is because it relates to the over-encompassing, each and every one of these girls has a story that we're never gonna see. Like, it's just so unfortunate that each of them have a reason to be here, but the death rate is so high. Your story, you could literally be the main character of your own story and then perish like you're a no-name NPC. Like, that's it, done. Nothing else. And I feel sad that we get these side characters with so many interesting like details and stories and like looks, and you're like, man, that's crazy. They're dead. We don't get anything else. There's no reason to go back to them. We're not bringing them back to life. They don't have the technology. There's no reason to. And it makes me think of a comment that Diana Dondi knew, if that's how you say her name. I'm sorry if it's not. That, yeah, they also said it themselves, is that all these girls have interesting designs and backgrounds, but because of the brutality of the games, they can die really fast and seem to be forgotten. Exactly. That is true. And what can you do about it? Nothing really. But the anime really lets you know that, yes, these girls are playing these games for one reason or another, mostly just for the money, and to get out of it, you could just die and your game's over. You could be the best person possible, you could be the most veteran person, but once you make one wrong mistake or you get very unlucky, your story is over. It's time to move on to the next character. Like, you feel bad and you're sad, and that could be a negative about the anime. It's that, man, we getting all these characters, but they're just killing them off so easily. But at the same time, they're honing into the fact that this world is messed up. There is no happy ending for any of things. It's just one way to think about it. So now we have to think, okay, what's next? How do we do things? Well, let's get through the anime real quick. There's not a whole lot that, quote unquote, happens. It's mainly tying everything up, finishing the referencing story of the Nighthawk, and setting up Kyara as the next big villain slash final boss. So the episode begins with Yuki being trained by Hakushi, and Yuki's getting the lesson that will hopefully help her out later on, is that she shouldn't fight homicidal maniacs, aka we're talking about Kyara. And Yuki challenges it, saying that, hey, I've killed a whole bunch of other people playing these death games. isn't that enough for the rest of society to consider me a homicidal maniac? Hakushi, not answering directly, says that these games are designed with survival as the win condition, not killing. That's why they become specialized in only that style. That makes sense. If you go back to every single game, you're supposed to survive, you're supposed to work together, you're supposed to live. Of course, there are some traps and other things, but as long as you understand the references of the stories that the curators made for the game, you should be able to live and survive. The only time you need to kill is when, you're forced to. So, but Hakushi really hones in saying that maniacs are playing a different game. They truly are. And you're going to see what type of game Kyara is playing later on. And you can ask, okay, what should I do if I face one and it's the only way to win? Hakushi says, yeah, you'll figure it out. And we get this little scene of Yuki thinking about her meeting with Hakushi, at the water, theorizing that, maybe Kyara was targeting Hakushi and one thing or another, and she's really trying to think about it, but she kind of puts those thoughts to the side and she needs to prioritize her own survival. Okay, next we get a backstory on this minor character, Ah-chan, the blue hair girl who saved Moigi last episode from one of the rabbits, and the one that's been talking to Moigi the most and kind of not been at her side, not like a right hand man, but more talking to her more. And her story it's cute, but at the same time it's horrible. She wonders if she can't be a swan. These are very vague pronouns, and she's worried about if she's gonna still be a duck when she grows up. And the mother's like, what do you think you should do? And Ah-chan's like, I like ducks more than swans. And her mother reinforces it and says okay, then you'll be fine if you're still a duck. And then Ah-chan is happy about that. And then after that, you flip back to the present, and Ah-chan is breaking down in tears in front of Moigi, and we get to see another a final scene of her backstory of her mother dying, and Moigi saying, not Moigi, Ah-chan saying that all she can do is fight back. So what is Ah-chan's goal? Her goal seemingly is to play through these games to get enough money to survive on her own, because without her mother, she's kind of lost everything, and the only thing that she can do is fight back against the system or one thing or another. And she had a good life as a kid. I still want more from it, but after this point, we don't get to see Ah-chan anymore, and that's kind of sad and disheartening, because she's probably gonna die, maybe, because when we fast forward, Moigi's all alone at Stump Base. Ah-chan's not there, not any other one of the girls, because there's a homicidal maniac on the loose. Kyra's on the loose. And also because all the other rabbits had defeated the stumps, maybe. But there's an announcement that says that, it's almost 6 p.m. on the first day, by the way. Remember, the rabbits were supposed to survive for a week. This is the first day, and almost all the stumps are gone. And everybody should be going back home to base before 6 p.m. hits. So Moigi goes through the gardens, not really staying at base anymore. And while she's going through, the story of the Nightjar is continuing to be told. The story hasn't finished yet. I did tell the entire story last episode review, but now the episode itself is trying to get through the rest of the story to coincide with Moigi's journey through the game. So at some point, we see the red-orange-haired girl who's also on the stump team kill her own teammate in cold blood. Why? Okay. Before I answer that question, she also crosses paths with Moigi, and they have a small little conversation, they're about to team up. But she also attempts to deceive Moigi, saying, hey, I ran out of bullets out of my gun. Do you got any more ammunition? And Moigi's like, yeah. And redhead girl's puts her hand behind her back, ready to pull her knife. But Moigi notices it, puts a gun straight to her face, and just booms her. All right. Why, girl? Why did you do that? I guess she thought she could one-up Moigi, but your whole goal was to kill rabbits to escape, not your own teammates. Maybe she thought that stumps could count as rabbits, but no. But also at the same time, if Kyara is killing every single other rabbit and player in the game, you're running out of not potential, but required targets. Therefore, you're stuck in this game with Kyara forever, and that's scary. But after Moigi finishes her, the announcement happens. Oh, it's 5, and the gates to the bases are closed, and they'll open up again at 6 a.m. Alright, so Moigi is she is stuck within the maze. And lo and behold, she runs into Yuki after walking around. And she even called Yuki a ghost. And this is it. The next few sequences is just a 1v1 against Yuki. So Moigi, after getting distracted by the birds, walks around trying to find Yuki. And as she walks around, you see the maze is littered with the corpses of the other girls. And Moigi sees a pair of ears near a stream. And she's like, oh, I got you. She tries to creep on Yuki. And when she turns the corner, turns out it was just Yuki's burning ears tied to some plants through the stump. And then she gets confused by it. And then Yuki just comes from behind her and starts to choke her out. It's a little bit of a tussle, but Moigi does manage to break free. But Moigi is outskilled and outstatted in every single aspect. She stood no chance and gets floored by Yuki. Yuki even does a simple dodge with a simple head flick as Moigi tries to fire back. It was not looking good for any Moigi lovers, including me. That's like, but when Yuki's on the screen, it's over. You ain't been in that fight. So with a break in the fight, there's a quick flashback to Moigi going over her, finally killing her parents as Kyara asked her last episode. And this whole small sequence is confirming that she wanted to be like Kyara, aka referencing back to the Nighthawk story. The Nighthawk being wanting to get close to the sun and asking the sun, hey, can I be like you? Can you burn me up to be as bright as the stars? And feeling, I guess the heat of the sun, or being encouraged by the sun, when Kyara hugged her, internally, Moigi thought, oh, Kyara saying, I love you. And Moigi never felt this warmth before. And this warmth is her reason to keep her living. And realizing that and remembering that and internalizing that, Moigi gets some resolve now in the present. She gets that little anime boost. And as she yells and she pulls out her gun to try and fight Yuki again for round 2, there's a smoke grenade. Billows out smoke, and Moigi, though she can't see anything, she's about to go for something. And then she gets shot 3 times and gets put on life support. Yuki's too good. Yuki stands over Moigi triumph. But she doesn't deliver the finishing blow. Her hand is twitching on the trigger. But Moigi is just laying there, and Moigi's having those final thoughts, just thinking about everything. She's accepting her loss. And the last thing she says is that she's cried tears of frustration, right? And this is the end of the Nightjar story, where the Nightjar did the best that it could, that it flew way up into the sky. It asked the other stars to, hey, can you help me out? But no. It kept going up, and now it's burned out. It's flowing back down, and now Moigi is burning like a star in the end. She did the best she could, and there's the scene of Kyara waking up at the base of the bunnies, and she looks to the skies, and she herself says the ending of the Nightjar story. And afterwards, now we get back to Yuki, as she's the only character left that we want to focus on. And Yuki is reflecting on Moigi and her determination. Yeah, I defeated this girl, but she was severely outclassed in every single way. Yet she still fought to the very end and at her highest capacity, even though she lacked potential. Yuki couldn't understand that. Yuki couldn't sympathize with that. And she keeps reflecting on it. It's like a bug into her internal system. Yuki's been living just because. like by her own innate talent. But here comes Moigi, who's doing the best she can with everything that she could, but ultimately she failed, and that's all that she could ever be. And Yuki just keeps thinking about it and like questioning things. She heads down to the seemingly safe area where there's the water, and she met with her mentor beforehand, and that's where she finds Sumiyaki, and Sumiyaki is like dead. Her rib cage is open, there's all the white fluff, similar to what Kyara does. And Yuki just feels something inside as she keeps contemplating on things, and she's building up this feeling inside of her. Like even her mentor told her about how to deal with like death and loss, but something's turning in Yuki's head, and she goes all the way back to the rabbit base, and there we finally see Hakushi gone, rib cage exposed and everything. And look at Kyara greeting Yuki with a smile, and the episode ends. So what an episode. Really, what an episode. So I was talking to JD beforehand, like a week or it was last week after last week's episode. I was talking to him, and I was telling him like my predictions. It's like, we know that Yuki's goal is to beat 99 games, and because now we know that Hakushi's goal was to beat 99 games, and she was on her last few, we have to wonder, okay, if Hakushi beats 99 games, is Yuki chasing after her, or did Yuki pick up the goal because Hakushi's gonna die? Like those red flags are already showing up. Like they showed up 2 episodes beforehand where Yuki gets a game with her mentor, and like she's saying, hey, I need to be careful with these last few games. And the red flag showed up this episode to where Yuki's being taught a lesson on how to deal with homicidal maniacs, aka Kyara. So it was bound that Hakushi was going to die one way or another, because we don't see her, quote unquote, after Candlewood's game. In the other episodes, we get flashbacks, but not an actual confirmation on whether or not she's like there. So now we know that, okay, Yuki is definitely going to live, but how is she going to deal with Kyara? And remembering what Kotoha said a couple episodes back when they were in scrapbuilding, is that this game was a terrible game. And Yuki also told Kotoha that the game also made her rethink her priorities and her values. And this is like the terrible scenario that happened, because why is Kyara allowed to be in this game as she has completely like torn up the script? There is no script anymore. Like one girl was able to defeat her whole entire squad, mostly her whole entire squad, and maybe a couple of stumps. That was supposed to be mostly the rabbits themselves, but Kyara just went on a rampage and nobody could stop her. I mean, nobody. Like tens upon tens of girls could not stop her. So she is like way up there in the power scale. So how do you beat someone like that? And that kind of goes back to what Hakushi said, that we are built to survive, not to kill. We are not Kyara. We are survivors. So now I have to think, does Kyara get defeated by Yuki and maybe some unlikely help and allies from the stump team that are maybe still alive, or maybe some rappers that are still alive? Who really knows? And we have to, the one burning question that I have is, why did the game makers, the curators, decide to allow Kyara in this game? If they should have already known her mentality, her like killer instinct, her ability to just whoop every single girl in existence. Or maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they want a hard reset. Maybe they knew that Hakushi was going to be in this game, so they decided, yo, put Kyara in there so that both of them can fight. And there's a high chance that Hakushi's gonna die. Boom. We don't gotta deal with a girl who's got 90 plus games on her. Now we can do like a nice little reset, not to worry about things. Maybe that's the deal. Or maybe it's some twisted thing to where they just don't care and allow any girl to fight in these death games. Who really knows? In either case, both of them are still messed up. But still, I think this episode is like on the lower end That's mainly because I've already predicted it with the last episode of using context clues and things. But I never even read the light novel slash manga, if there is one. I know there's a light novel, I believe. I don't know if there's a manga, but I know people told me of there is another medium that the anime is adapting. So we'll see how Candlewoods ends. We only have 2 more episodes left. I'm probably thinking Candlewoods ends is next episode, and then the episode after that will be the epilogue of Yuki maybe doing another game, or maybe we finally get a over encompassing background slash backstory on the world itself and how the games are done or run and whatever else. If nothing else, let me know what y'all think about the episode in comments below. And if nothing else after that, I hope all of you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I hope your day is just a little bit better than it already is. With that, we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.